Good morning. Welcome to the Pursuit of Happiness. My name is Pastor Susanna Brown, and thank you for watching this morning. In the previous show, we were talking about the great fall. We were talking about how Jesus fell from his ranking. We were talking about how in the book of beginnings, the book of Genesis, did you know that the book of Genesis in the Bible has got the word gene in it, in the first three letters, Genesis, Genesis. And you know, with the book of Genesis, I probably spelt it wrong, by the way, I couldn't spell it, but the book of Genesis has the word gene in it, and you, my friend, have got the gene in you. From the beginning, before God placed you in your mother's womb, he put a gene in you because he already knew you. He already foreordained the purpose and the plan of the destiny and the reason why you were born. You might be looking at me and saying, Susanna, yeah, Shemazel, I've heard all this thing about God. You don't understand, but I'm going to tell you something this morning. That you, again, you are a spirit, you have a soul, and you live in a body. And unfortunately, us as human beings, we don't tap into the spirit world. You are first a spirit. You have a soul and you live in a body. Your soul is your personality. It's your mind, your will, and your emotions. Your spirit is your breath. And today, I want to emphasize a little bit about the spirit world and the spirit realm and how the spirit realm has a law and they govern the laws of the land for a reason. They call them rulers and authority. They're authorities and they're rulers. Well, where do they rule? They rule over our land. They watch over us as citizens and they make sure that we're not breaking the law. Okay, let's liken that to the spirit realm. Last week's show, I mentioned that Jesus became a part of the great fall. He fell in his dominion. Who was he? He was initially in heaven, the Messiah. He was already in heaven, known as the Son of God, and he demoted himself, was born in a human form through Mary and Joseph as the proxy father, and he was like a father to him. He was born in the natural sense through Mary to come into this world and to play the role of a Messiah as the Son of God in a human form, but in a sense where he was not coming to make people bow down and worship him. He came humble and lowly, and his whole message was that God the Father had sent him to teach on the very law of forgiveness. He came to teach on the spiritual laws of sin and death. Because the word sin means missing the mark. Sadly, religious people, the wrong ambassadors, have come along and taught that religion and sin is for the guilty. Bad people, naughty people. You must, you'll have to pay for the rest of your life in order for you to obtain heaven or go to heaven or to ever get to know God. No, you know what? Jesus came and he came to represent a father and a son scenario, a picture of a father and a son that could never be likened to anything else here on this earth. God and Jesus together related that story very simply to us as human beings. Now, I wouldn't send my only son to die for people that did wrong or that were, heading down the wrong way. I wouldn't let my son die for, an innocent son to die for a purpose that was not his fault. I couldn't let my son go, but God did, you see, my friend. He let Jesus die for something that he never did wrong. He became an advocate. He stood in our place. He fell from his spiritual ranking and he humbled himself, and God aimed him at a cross, and he became the target for you and for me. Going back to information, for too long we have been focusing on the contactable realm. If I can see something, I'm going to believe it. If I see this plant, it's believable. I see it, I believe. I hear it, I believe. You are a spirit, and there are spiritual laws that govern the spiritual realm. And this, my friend, is not a book of how bad you are. This is not a book of how wrong you are. This is not a book about where we as humans have been so bad and God is so mad at us that we don't even want to approach this book. This book, my friend, is likened to this. It's a map, it's a journey, it's a love story from God the Father to you. It's a love letter. I call it the human race, the journey of why you were created, and a story about forgiveness. Now, have you ever known anyone else? I'm challenging you today. Have you ever known anybody else that came to teach on forgiveness? I don't think so. Well, let's break it down. Forgave. He gave his only son to die for you. That to me is relatable. That to me speaks to me, and it speaks to my natural circumstances. It adds up. It adds up. There are spiritual laws that are vital for you to understand so that you can be aware of things that happen in the spirit realm that could affect your everyday life. Thank you. I'll be back after this break.